our last class we have discussed about arithmetic mean and how to calculate arithmetic mean for different types of data set, right? One is discrete data set, that means completely ungrouped. One is discrete grouped, that means individual with respective frequencies. And one is type where we have certain class intervals and their frequencies, how many items belongs to that class interval, and how to calculate mean for that particular data set. Today we will discuss about a different method of calculating mean, which you can say as a shortcut method to calculate arithmetic mean. This is very handy and very useful when your range or the class limits are high or the frequency are high, where you have to put a lot of effort in calculations. This method helps in reducing the amount of calculation. So you will just refer to it as shortcut method. So before discussing this shortcut method, we need to know or we need to understand the concept of deviation, right? Or you can say the origin and scale. So in arithmetic mean, there is a property of arithmetic mean which says that it is not independent of rate of change of scale and origin. I will not go deep into this topic. I will just roughly give you an idea about what this topic means. So imagine these are the values x1, x2 up to xn. Now these numbers are very large. Let's say 750, 800 and 860, etc, etc. So of course, now with the help of modern technologies or calculators, it is quite easy to calculate the average of these large numbers. But imagine you are doing this manually and you want to reduce the size of the calculation. In such a case, we do one thing, we reduce the number. So to reduce the number, we create a new set of data. Let's say we call them as D, right? So D will be x minus a by h, right? So this di in general, if I have to write, di is equal to xi minus a by h, where I will be 1, 2. So we have originally n numbers, so it will go up to n, right? So basically we are nothing but creating a new data, right, which is called d, which is nothing but equal to x minus a by h. Now question is, what is this a and what is this h? So this a is called change of origin, and this h over here is called change of scale, right? So what is change of origin and change of scale? So imagine the values are 2, 4, 6 and 8. So if the numbers are here, in this case, if you draw these values in a line 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the values start from here, right? 2, 4, 6 and so on. Now if I reduce all these numbers by 2, if I subtract 2 from all of them, minus 2, minus 2, minus 2, the values will be 0, 2, 4 and 6, right? So the new data set, after reducing everyone by 2, will start from here, 0 and then 2, then 4 and 6. So the origin, the original data, the origin, that means the starting point was here. As soon as we reduce all the data set by a constant value 2, the origin or the starting point shifted towards the left, right? So we have changed the origin. So if you subtract something from all the data set, you are actually changing the starting point. So changing the starting point is called change of origin. And if the original data set were 2, 4, 6 and 8, if now I divide all of them by 2 by 2, the new data set will be 1, 2, 3 and 4, right? So the original data set has a gap of 2, 2. The gap was from 2 to 4, gap was 2. From 4 to 6, the gap was 2. From 6 to 8, the gap was 2. Now as soon as we divide all of them by this constant value of 2, the gap between them reduces to 1, right? Now if you want to plot the values here, so the new data set will be 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So basically the original data set was changing at a scale of 2, right? Now as soon as we divide all of them by 2, it is changing at a scale of 1 now, right? So basically if you divide every value of a data set by a constant value, that technique or that procedure is called change of scale. So this thing overall is called changing the origin and scale. So you have a data set. Let me give you the same example. 2, 4, 6, 8. This was your original data set, and now you want to reduce them. So from all of them I am dividing, or I am subtracting 2. So the value reduces to 0, and then 2, and then 4, and then 6. Now this is first step. In first step we have subtracted 2, that means we have changed the origin. In the next step we will divide everyone by 2. 2. So this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. Now imagine the calculation involved in finding the arithmetic mean of 0, 1, 2 and 3, and the calculation involved in 2, 4, 6, 8. It is reducing by a little bit. Now let me give you an extreme example. Let us assume the data set is 320, then 480, then 640, and then 800. This is your original data set. The numbers are high, and if you have to calculate the average, you have to do, or you have to put more effort here, right? But if we reduce the data set by, let's say, first dividing them, all of them, these are all multiples of say 16, right? So we will divide all of them by 16. So the values will be 20, 30, 40 and 50. Now all of them can further be reduced if we subtract 20 from all of them. 20, 20. So the data set is 0, 10, 20 and 30. So now the calculation will be now the calculation on 0, 10, 20 and 30 will take less time obviously compared to 320, 480, 640 and 800. So this is how we reduce the data set. Now the question is, obviously the average of these larger values and average of these smaller values will not be the same. It is obvious that these values will have a higher average and these values will have a lower average. Then how we can comment about their average from this data set? Then come the concept of rate of change of origin, and we were not going to the theory, but simply remember this formula. X bar is equal to A plus H times of D bar. So this is the formula for your change of scale and origin, right? So we will use this formula to find out what is the average of these values, that means this original data set from a smaller data set. Fine. Now I would like to add something here, that sometimes it is not possible to divide all of them, or it is not always divisible by the same number. In this case it is obvious that all of them are divisible by 16, but it is not mandatory that you will have to divide them. In certain cases, we can only subtract a particular number from the data set to make them reduce or reduce the calculations, right? So in that case, we consider h to be equal to 1. What I am trying to say is that even if you cannot divide them by any number, a very common number or a very obvious number, you can divide them. You will in such a case keep h equal to 1. In that case, x bar will be equal to a plus d bar, right? Simple. So let's try an example based on this method, right? So here we have x and their values are 5, 8, 12, 15 and 20. So I want to reduce the size of the data set. So I will take, in most of the cases, the value. So we are trying to find out d equal to x minus a by h. So the determination of or the finding out the value of a and h is completely dependent on you. You have to choose h and a so that the ultimate value of d are somehow manageable or it reduce the calculations, right? So in this case, we will take a is as 12, right? So let's find out what will be the value of d. So basically d is nothing but x minus 12 divided by 1. So we are taking h equal to 1 because these numbers obviously are not divisible by a common number. These are not divisible by a common number. So we will just simply subtract 12 from all of them. So this will be minus 7. This will be minus 4. This is 0. This is 3. And this is 8. Right? So our new values are d minus 7, minus 4, 0, 3, 8. Right? Now we need to find out d bar, because our ultimate objective is to find out x bar equal to a plus h times of d bar. So we have decided the value of a, we have decided the value of h. So this is 12 plus 1 into the only thing that we don't know is d bar. Now what is d bar? D bar is nothing but summation of the different d's divided by number of items. So this is the basic formula, right? Arithmetic mean you sum the numbers, divide by number of items. So the summation of d is you have to add all of this. So minus 7 minus 4 is minus 11, 3 and 8 is 11. So 11 minus 11 will cancel out. So the total is 0, right? That means summation d is 0. Something divided by 5, 0 divided by 5 is again 0. That means d bar is equal to 0. Now our calculations are much more, 12 plus 1 into 0, that means the average is 12, right? So this is just an idea how you can reduce the volume of your data. That means you can reduce the complexity of your calculations using this approach, which is can be called as a shortcut method. Now this was for ungrouped data. Now let's see what happens to group data set. So this is our example number 2 for today, where we have x and frequency. The x values are 40, 45, 50, 55, 60 and 65. Okay. And the f values are 2, 6, 25, 10 and 3. So we have to find out the arithmetic mean of this data set using the shortcut method. So first thing first, you will have to find out D. D is x minus something divided by something. Okay. Now you see that all these numbers x, 40, 45, 50, 60, 65 are divisible by 5, right? All of them are divisible by 5. So we can divide them by 5. So let's take h as 5, right? And a is normally, the thing is, we always take the middlemost value in this sequence as a, middlemost value. In case of odd numbers, now suppose the question may arise here, what will be the case if we have another number 70? In this case we will have two different middle values, 50 and 60, and you can take any one of them. It's completely up to you. So in this case, since the number of items is odd, we have a clear middle value which is 50. So we will take 50 as a, right? So this is nothing but this value will be 40 minus 50 divided by 5. So 40 minus 50 is 10 divided by 5 means minus 2. 45 minus 50 means minus 5 divided by 5 is minus 1. This will be 0. This will be 2. This will be 3. Right? So these are the values of D. Okay. So these are nothing but a new kind of data set. So now we have D and their corresponding frequencies. So to calculate average, we will calculate F into D, right? So this will be minus 4, minus 6, 0, 20 and 9. So the formula in this case is, first of all, the formula to find out x bar is a plus h times of d bar, and we need d bar. D bar in case of discrete group frequency is summation f into d summation f. In case of x, it is summation f summation fx. The only thing changes d, right? So that means we need summation f, the total here, and summation fd here, right? These two things will be sufficient to calculate d bar, and d bar will be sufficient to calculate x bar. So here 2, 6, 25, 10 and 30, this adds up to 46. And this value minus 4 minus 6 is minus 10. 20 minus 10 will be 10 plus 19. 9 is 19, right? So summation fd is 19 and summation f is 46. So d bar will be summation fd summation f is equal to 19 by 46 is equal to approximately equal to 0.41, right? So that is d bar. So as soon as you found out the value of d bar, now we can calculate x bar as the value of a we took as 50 plus h we took as 5 into d bar. D bar is found out to be 0.41. So this gives us 52.05. So this is the average of these values. You can either calculate them as a straightforward way, or you can calculate them using this shortcut method, whichever you are comfortable in, right? Now let's try the same concept on a grouped frequency, that means continuous group frequency data, right? So our exercise 3, we have certain class intervals and then we have frequencies, right? So the class intervals are 0 to 20, 20 to 40, 40 to 60, 60 to 80 and 80 to 100. These are the class intervals, and the corresponding frequencies are 5, 15, 30, 12 and 8. These are our F, right? So first thing first, in case of continuous frequency, we have to find out mid values, and mid values are called X. What is the mid value of 0 and 20? 0 plus 20 divided by 2 will be 10, right? So this is how we calculate mid value. So this will be 10, this will be 30, this will be 50, this will be 70 and this will be 90. These are the values of X. Now if you go the straightforward way, the next step is to find out Fx, right? You have to find out the total of F, total of Fx. That is straightforward. That means you have to calculate 5 into 10, 15 into 30, 30 into 50, 12 into 70 and 8 into 90. So the ultimate numbers will be 3-digit or 4-digit numbers, right? So that means you will have to do more calculations. So our aim here is to reduce the ultimate amount of calculation. So for that we will create a new variable or a new number set of numbers called D, right? D will be X minus a constant value divided by a constant value, and this will be based on this, right? Now see here is that the gap between all of them is 20, 20, 20, 20. So we will divide it by 20, and the A is taken as the middlemost value. Middlemost value is 50, right? So basically the new set of numbers will be X minus 50 divided by 20. So writing down this value is quite easy if once you get used to it. The value that you are subtracting, the middlemost value, it will always be 0. And if they have a common gap between them, that in this case it is 20, 20. So in that case this will be minus 1, minus 2, 1 and 2. You don't even have to calculate it. You can automatically fill this column. D is 0, minus 1, minus 2, 1, 2, right? D. So now we have to find out F into D, right? So F into D will be this column into this column. 5 into minus 2 is minus 10, minus 1, 15 is minus 15, 0 and 30 is 0, 1 and 12 is 12, 2 and 8 is 60. So you need the total of this column, that means summation FD, and total of this column, that means summation F. Now summation F is 70. Why? Because 15, 5, 20, 30, 50, 50 plus 20 is 70. Now this total will be minus 25. This 15 and 10 is minus 25. 12 and 16 is plus 28. That means we are left with 3, right? So summation FD is 3, summation F is 70. So what will be D bar? D bar will be summation FD, summation F. FD is 3, F is 70. So D bar is 3 by 70. Now X bar is equal to A plus H times of D bar. What was our A? A is 50 plus H is 20, right? 20 into d bar is 3 by 70. So if you simplify this, we get 50.86, right? So this is the average. So initially you will have to calculate a lot of big numbers, there's sum, then you will have to divide. Now in this case it is much simpler, right? So this is how we calculate arithmetic mean for different types of data. One is straightforward way, one is using the shortcut method, right? Now we will go to the other two means, which are geometric mean and harmonic mean. Let x1, x2, xn are n observations, then their geometric mean is given by gm is equal to, you will have to multiply them, right? xn and raise the power to the number of observations. So here we have n observations, so it will be 1 upon n, right? And multiply all the numbers x1 into x2 up to xn, right? So this is geometric mean for simple ungrouped values, right? If x1, x2 up to xn are n observations, with corresponding frequencies, f1, f2 up to fn, then their geometric mean is given by so this time you will have to raise every variable individual observation to their frequencies. That means x1 to the power f1 into x2 to the power f2 into x3 to the power f3 up to xn to the power fn, right? And this will be 1 by capital N. Now what is capital N? Capital N is nothing but summation of all these frequencies. That means total frequency f5, right? So that is geometric mean. x1 to the power f1, x2 to the power f2, x3 to the power f3, xn to the power fn, 1 by n. This is how we calculate geometric mean. And in case of harmonic mean, HM, if x1, x2 up to xn are n observations, then their harmonic mean is given by HM is equal to 1 by x1 1, x2, xn divided by n. That means here you have to follow certain steps basically. Step number 1 is reciprocate every observation. That means if the observations are x1, x2 up to xn, reciprocate them. So let me take an example here to make this more clear, let's take the values are 2, 3 and 4, and you are to find out their harmonic mean. The first step is to find out 1 by 2, 1 by 3 and 1 by 4. This is your step number 1. Step number 2 is you find out the average of these three numbers. Now what is average means? Arithmetic mean, right? Arithmetic mean of these three numbers. So what will be the arithmetic mean? 1 by 2 plus 1 by 3 plus 1 by 4 divided by number of observations. So remember, this is one value, this is one value, this is one value, so there are three values. So that is average of the reciprocals. Now third step is, now you reciprocate this average. That means 1 by, this average is 1 by 2, 1 by 3, 1 by 4 divided by 3. So that will be, this ultimate value will be the harmonic mean. This is harmonic mean. Now in case of group frequency data, so if x1, x2 up to xn are n observations with frequencies f1, f2 up to fn, then harmonic mean will be 1 by f1 divided by x1 plus f2 divided by x2 up to fn divided by xn divided by capital N, right? So this step also can be simplified. You can write n in top and summation 1 by xi, I goes from 1 to n. This can be written as capital N summation I goes from 1 to n fi divided by xi. So this is for a group frequency, this is for ungrouped frequency. These are the formulas for harmonic mean, and the previous one was geometric mean, right? This is geometric mean and that is harmonic mean. So I will not go to exercise of harmonic mean and geometric mean. This is not that important for us, and most of the time it will not be used in practice, but still I have shown you what are the differences between arithmetic mean, harmonic mean and geometric mean. Now there are certain relations, there are exactly two relationships between harmonic mean, geometric mean and arithmetic mean, and I guess those were covered in school level syllabus, so I will not go into that. So that is in rough the three different means, right? Harmonic, arithmetic mean and geometric. And arithmetic mean, remember, is the most important, and we will keep on reusing them in our later course also, right? So that's all for this class, and we will in the next class discuss about standard deviation and variance. Then this descriptive statistics will be over and we will move up to the next chapter, right? So that's all for today. See you in the next one.